Okay, so everybody say hello.
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 Welcome to our assorted group of 20s. And I just wanted to spend a few minutes interviewing you. And so, do you want to briefly give your name, what you do, and what life was like for you pre-lockdown? So, we will start with Amelia.
Oh. So my name is Amelia. I normally pre-lockdown work for Tinings Church and the Hot House, and also for Urban Saints nationally while I'm studying my final year of university. So normally I'm leading groups, helping in groups with young people and children, and I'm busy travelling backwards and forwards to Cambridge for university weeks.
Katie?
I'm Katie. I am a trainee solicitor. I am currently working in family, and I do social service involvement, often representing families, parents.
LMG.
So my name is Liam, and I'm an assistant lecturer at Birmingham City University. So before this, I was teaching students of different years.
Knitting? Cookery?
Oh yes, that's true. Well, my specialist subject is technology, with a side of knitting. So.
And Matt?
So I'm Emily, and before lockdown, I am a primary school teacher. So I teach year 4s at St Margaret Mary's, which is a school in Erdington. So yeah, that's what I normally do.
Hi, I'm Matt. I am a doctor, and I work at Walsall Manor Hospital. And we also are both YF leaders as well. So before lockdown, we would be going along every Friday and Sunday to help out with that group.
So, what we want to know is, what is life like now? Do you want to go in the same order, or shall I mix you up?
Mix it up.
I wonder why.
Okay, Liam.
Oh, okay. Well, I am still teaching students, although term has just finished. But we've had to move all our teaching and all our meetings and everything online, which has been quite challenging. So now, instead of doing obviously face-to-face teaching, we have to do sort of live streams of lectures or little mini tutorial sessions via Microsoft Teams, which is our kind of online platform that we use. And yeah, we have to kind of change our marking and our assessments. So students have to submit videos now instead of doing presentations, and we have to kind of change the way that we obviously assess students. And kind of our next biggest concerns are how we're going to do graduations, because obviously a lot of final year students want to graduate in July, and we don't know how that's going to work. And secondly, clearing and kind of recruitment. How are we going to recruit students when obviously a lot of students are unsure what's going to happen with their results and if they want to go to university. And then term, really, semester 1 next year in September, are we going to be doing things, online or face to face? We don't really know.
Emily.
Yeah, so obviously everything's quite different because schools are now closed. So it's a bit, you don't really see the children anymore. So I'm not going into work and spend time with the children. Instead, we're doing home learning. So we're providing things and resource online for the parents to teach themselves. And it's quite difficult, really, because I'm used to seeing the same children every single day and really knowing and growing with them. And it's been quite difficult to kind of say bye to them and kind of still try and teach from a distance. And the other thing is I have to go into work once a week to kind of be there for the essential workers' children. So we are still going in and still kind of providing a safe place and an environment for those children that aren't able to really be at home with their parents, and just kind of provide what we can for the children. So provide food where we need to and kind of help. And we have a food bank that we kind of donate to regularly to just really provide for the families of that we have that aren't able to kind of cope at the moment. It's kind of my main focus, yeah.
Katie.
Due to the nature of what I do, my job is pretty much the same. Well, actually, I shouldn't have said that because it's totally not. A lot of what I do is face-to-face, obviously, meeting clients, drafting statements with them. Court hearings obviously can't go ahead in the way that they would have done, so I sit here and talk to the camera, and the judge is then in their lounge or wherever, and that's how we're conducting hearings at the moment. Obviously, some complex hearings can't go ahead, and they're being vacated, which is quite sad in some cases, because when we represent the parents, that means that there's an uncertain period of them now where they don't know what's going to happen. We don't know when that, for example, fact finds of abuse can't be found one way or another, so we're in this limbo, which is difficult. I'm finding it difficult not being able to talk to them when you have to say some pretty devastating news. It's weird to have those phone calls over the phone and not be able to be face to face with someone, which is difficult. But ultimately, my job's busier than ever, and there's a lot of work, a lot of things to be doing. Things are changing, obviously. Social workers' jobs are different, and there's a lot going on with that, which then we see from the parents' point of view. Assessments and things aren't going ahead, which is difficult. But yeah, a lot of it is me sending emails, which is what I used to do, which is the same, but I'm really missing seeing clients face to face and doing my job like that, really. So yeah, a lot is the same, doing the same. It's still busy, but a lot is different, and I can't wait to get back to normal, seeing people face to face and doing hearings the way that they're meant to be done.
Amelia.
So mine's changed dramatically, starting with the way my uni degree is working. So we were due to have a full uni block week right at the start of lockdown, but obviously that couldn't go ahead. So we've been doing teaching in using Zoom, so online platform, which has been an interesting challenge because it means starting Zoom calls at 9 and finishing at 5 p.m. And for anyone else who's sat on Zoom most days, it is the most tiring thing ever. So it's really challenging because we don't have access to library books, and I'm currently writing my dissertation. So it's been quite a fun game to kind of find online books and resources that I can use. Work-wise, like some, I've been furloughed from one of my jobs. And then for my other job with church in Aldridge, it's been planning and keeping in contact with families, but also trying to create groups so we can meet with the young people online, and keep communication open with the families that we work with. So it's been quite a large change. In some ways it's quieter, but at the same time I've got a lot to do, and there's a lot of things that are uncertain at the moment. So I'm not sure yet what my post-university is now going to look like, because what I had originally planned I now know can't happen. So it's trying to work out kind of a plan for going forward. So it's quite a strange experience and a strange time, but I'm managing to do new things that I'm quite enjoying. So I'm helping with a project with some of my friends that's running nationally to kind of keep young people engaged together, and doing activities. So yeah.
Oh, Matt, sorry. Oh, I did them. I forgot you. Sorry.
I'm easily forgetful.
How can I forget?
Oh, no, you're not.
So, unlike most people, I'm still going to work, obviously, but the job has changed dramatically. Prior to lockdown and COVID-19, I was part of the trauma and orthopaedics team at Walsall Manor, so we would be dealing with patients who were coming in with broken hips, knees, things like that. Whereas since the lockdown and since there has been a change in the our patient population. I have been moved across to medicine, and now I would say approximately 80% of my patients have got COVID-19 related problems. And that has meant a huge change in the way we're working. I move around a lot. I'm on a team that basically fills in for gaps when there are gaps on other wards from either sickness in the other doctors, or when there are just gaps in the rota. So I move around a lot. I've been mainly covering palliative wards, so I've been dealing with a lot of those patients who've sadly been end of life, having lots of conversations with family members, because unfortunately during all this it's obviously very limited for families to come in and visit and things like that, which has been difficult because we've been delivering a lot of bad news over the phone, which is a lot more difficult. And yeah, it's changed a lot about work, because obviously I went into being a doctor to try and help people and help cure people, and that's one of the things that I loved about my job. But it has felt for the last kind of couple of months anyway that we have been admitting people and kind of just hoping they get better, and giving oxygen and then seeing what happens. And unfortunately, despite our best efforts, a number of my patients haven't done well, and that's been difficult to deal with. But we're starting to see a reduction in the numbers coming in now, and we're trying to get back to a kind of a normal hospital, because we also have all the other medical problems that people have that we need to look out for and deal with, and trying to get back to that and trying to work out a way through all of that is the next kind of problem that we're trying to deal with, and wondering how on earth we get back to normality in this kind of new world where we're still dealing with the effects of COVID.
So one thing that I need to know from each of you is how our church can pray for you this week and beyond that. So are we going random again? Katie?
I think for me, I think coronavirus hits the vulnerable hardest. And someone's coming in, Julie.
Brilliant.
Yay! Oh.
She brought you a cup of tea. Oh,
So cute.
She's going to be embarrassed watching that on Sunday. What was I saying? Yeah, I think it hits the vulnerable hardest, and I work with families who are just before the court system, just before the legal arena, who have the children in their care and are trying to do everything that they can, but in in poverty, that's difficult, and there's intense pressure on these people, and I just find it desperately sad. We're all struggling, and you can't imagine what some people are having to go through at this time. So for them, for the children that are experiencing pretty horrible situations, I just think, those that I come into contact with, that if I can do a little bit of something there, which feel like you can't a lot of the time, but yeah, and for social workers, I just think what they're doing at the moment is something else, and they need some love and prayers, I think. But yeah, that's mine.
Liam?
So I think kind of the stuff I talked about earlier, really, mainly for the I think I was listening to our Vice Chancellor's briefing earlier today, and he was talking about a number of things, one of which is the students who are still in university accommodation on site because they can't go home for whatever reason, and obviously they still need support, even though there's kind of no one really around to sort of, because all the university buildings are closed. So obviously that's a challenge for them. And I guess for the students who have been affected by the circumstances, so that they can't work at home, they don't have access to a computer or internet or the software they need to complete their work, to complete their dissertations or modules or whatever. So obviously that's a stressful and worrying time. And I guess for the decision makers, so like I said, graduation, recruitment, induction, those are kind of the key issues for us, really. Kind of in a way, the day-to-day teaching kind of carries on, that's fine, but it's more about some of these key events in the student life cycle that we have to think about and sort of pray for those decisions that are made, and because any decision that's made is going to have a big impact one way or another. So yeah, each decision needs to be made wisely, I think.
Amelia?
So for me, I would greatly appreciate prayer for my dissertation and my university work. So a lot of it's quite up in the air with how some of our speaking module exam type bits will go, as to whether or not we'll have to do it over Zoom or how that will work. So just prayers kind of for university work, but also for the families and children and young people I work with. Obviously it's quite a strange experience for younger children, and just kind of prayers for kind of how parents go about dealing with explaining things to their children, and just strength to parents at the moment.
Matt?
I think the main thing I'd ask for prayer for is for work, but healthcare as a whole, really. I think we're facing a kind of major challenge of how we move on now from just focusing on patients who are suffering with coronavirus to trying to tackle all of the other problems without exposing patients to that risk as well when they're already unwell. For example, I know back on my trauma and orthopaedic team, there is now a backlog of emergency and elective trauma lists numbering into thousands of patients. There are waiting lists for other things as well, including cancer treatments and etc. And that's a real worry for many of us, because obviously, you know, we don't have any answers at the moment of how on earth we try and make things as safe for them whilst also continuing to help those who are suffering with coronavirus. I think some resilience as well. I know and I see a lot of the colleagues that I work with. It's starting to take its toll now. The amount of time that we've been dealing with this, and there are a lot of people down in mood just from having to deal with this and not seeing the outcomes that maybe we would want in some of the patients that we look after. I think it's also good to be thankful for things at this time, though. And I mentioned that we used to do YF, and whilst we haven't been able to do YF in a physical sense, going along to the Church Centre on a Friday, we have been doing it virtually. And just this Friday gone, we had over 30 teenagers cooking along with us in their kitchens, having lots of fun. We regularly get 10 plus on our after cafes on a Sunday, doing Bible study with us, as well as lots of other small groups. And it's keeping us all busy as leaders, and I'm sure Maxine you can attest to, but we love it because it's something that I love doing. I know Em and lots of the other leaders love doing, because we get to see the YFers. We get to see that the kind of their faith growing even during all of this, and it's just something that I can look forward to at the end of the day, and it really is seeing me through. So that's something to be thankful for.
I guess I'd want to pray for the children, especially. It's really uncertain, it's really scary, and I think it might not really be clear what's going on. It doesn't really make sense to adults, let alone to the children at the moment. And I know it can be really nerve-wracking, and I just want to really pray for them, really, and hope that they can their mental health will be okay through this, that they'll kind of have the support around them. And especially for those that are vulnerable, because I know it's not everybody's as lucky, and some people really do struggle for food and struggle for those basic necessities. And as schools are closed, it's kind of normally where they go for those. So kind of that they have access to what they need, to things that kind of will get them through, and just, kind of be with them is kind of what I'd ask, that kind of they get the comfort, and
I didn't mention this question before we started, but it was Matt who made me think, is there anything that anybody else wants to share? Just some encouragements from God or anything you've got to particularly be thankful for during this time? Sorry to spring it on you.
I've got one.
Who's going
on,
first?
I'll let you go.
Go on, Amelia.
So I started doing something really weird and silly. So outside my house, I've been putting out, I've got 4 cuddly pandas, and I've been putting them outside my house now for the last 2.5, 3 weeks. And it kind of just started off something really small, kind of just getting them to read a book or do something. So when children and families went on walks, they could kind of look out for the pandas. And since then, it's kind of got a bit bigger. So kids are leaving artwork for the pandas, and we've been painting stones and that kind of thing. And actually, it's created a really nice community atmosphere on our street. But also, it's been lovely seeing kind of families going out for walks and people engaging with me when I've been sat on the drive doing uni work, who basically just said how much something so small has made such a difference to their day. And they've been asking, pandas have been doing silly questions each day, such as what year were plastic bottles first created and that kind of thing. And it's been great seeing how that's impacted on people's day-to-day lives.
Nice. Katie?
I think I saw a Pete Greig quote, and it said, it was long, go and look it up, but it basically said the churches might be closed, but we're making churches in our streets and in our homes. My family is non-Christian, but we've been having the Sunday service on our telly every Sunday morning, and whoever wants to pop in has been watching that, and I just think that's wonderful. I think, you know, we're able to dip in and out of what the church in the whole of the UK and the whole of the world is doing. There is, you know, it's just encouraging to see what goes on, and be part of it, and realise that we're part of something much bigger than one church, that we're part of a worldwide church. And I just think, you know, being able to have the time to see that as well, and just, you know, life being a little bit less busy and having some time to think and reflect and take some time out, and yeah.
Last chance. Anybody else?
I'd say I've really quite appreciated, like, for example, my colleagues and other people who've taken, kind of risen to the challenge and been really kind of creative and ingenuitive and really thought outside the box to help other people and kind of to provide where they can, and kind of seeing the goodness come out of this situation. So as I said, like at our school, we started a local food bank for the local area, and every single week it keeps on getting filled up. And it's seeing that even as things are difficult, even as this situation gets challenging, people are still there to provide and to help each other as much as they possibly can. And it's like seeing like neighbours who got off, like the other day, we had some roses left on our porch to thank Matt for working in NHS, and just those like really kind things that people are doing to really just kind of think of others and step up, which I think has been amazing.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much, and we will be praying for you this week. So Emily, Matt, Liam, Katie and her phone, and Amelia, thank you very much.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.